All right. Hello, everyone. Hi. First off, I want to apologize. I got here for getting here late. It has just been a bit. I was out today, so apologies for showing up here late. But hello, everyone. To anyone who's here, I want to thank you for coming to the stream. Let me get some lights up here. Yeah, this stream is gonna be a bit. There we go. That's better. This stream is gonna be more casual than usual, just because personally, there hasn't really been a lot going on. I mean, yesterday I released the um, Scenes from a Memory full orchestral rendition. So I'm going to do a bit of a breakdown of Act 1. So, yeah. What's up there, Rico 9 Inch Nails? Good to see you. No worries for being late. Nice. Thank you. Hello, PMT Slots. Good to see you. I want to thank you so much, man, for showing up to the premiere of orchestral scenes from memory yesterday. Really, really appreciate that. Good to see you, man. So this is gonna be a bit of a different stream today, because while I am gonna be doing a breakdown essentially of at least Act 1 of Scenes from Memory, I'm also going to be doing some Lego building. I got my family got me Lego for Christmas. That's one of my big things. You can see my Lego collection up there. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that while I talk with you, while I go over stuff. Just have a bit of fun. Like I said, the stream is gonna be very casual. Most of my streams have been very, just talking about, going over music and talking about Dream Theater. But today I just really want to take the time to just chat with you guys. I know the last stream I did was talking about my experience meeting and seeing Dream Theater. So yes, get comfy, everyone, because this is just, we're just here to chill. We're just here to have a good time. Thanksgiving is next week, so we're all looking forward to that. So enjoy as I build this set. So hopefully I can get more people on here. We can watch. It's good to see you guys here, but we can get other viewers in, because you're all so awesome. I'm just saying. I want to preface this by saying you're like the greatest, my greatest viewers ever. What's up? You have a quick question? Ask away, man. What you got? So let me, while I do that, I'm going to pull up my extra screen here. Screen 2, share audio. There we go. Here is my screen. What is the difference between symphonic and orchestral? Okay. This is a good question, because I know that probably some of you have been wondering about this. So I called them orchestral covers for the longest time, but I changed it because I started adding vocal elements like choir. And so if I added choir, that wouldn't really make it orchestral. So I thought calling it symphonic would be better, because, it's a symphony orchestra with a chorus. It has that epic symphonic sound. So I personally called it a symphonic arrangement, a symphonic cover. So when I added in vocals, just, wordless chorus and like solo, singers, I started calling them orchestral, symphonic covers. So that is my distinction within two. But that was a very, very good question to ask, Rigo. Thank you so much for that. Through Her Eyes was Chef's Kiss. Oh, thank you so much. I worked a lot to get that one really, really good, because that's a super emotional song. So I'm glad you enjoyed that one. All right, so let's get into this while I build. Symphonic scenes here. Scene 1, regression. Turn up. Yeah, this intro here is pretty simple, because of course I didn't add the I didn't add the spoken word of the hypnotherapist. So there was just the music part that I added. So for me, with the main melodies, I used cello a lot. And I use the cello to really represent Nicholas as a character. So most of the time you hear these melodies, it's played by either a solo cello or the cello section in the orchestra. And it represents Nicholas as a character. For Victoria, it was hard for me to really represent Victoria a lot, specifically with one instrument. So her music, her character is used throughout, mostly sometimes by woodwinds or higher strings like violin. So I'm sort of really trying to balance out each character. So then we get into Overture 1928. This was so much fun to orchestrate. I love when Dream Theater does these overtures to begin their albums. It's I think it's really, really cool. As someone who loves like orchestral, like loves classical music and really appreciates opera and ballet, I think it's really nice to have an overture like this. A bit loud. Especially that introduces all the themes that'll reappear throughout the album. So it's super, super cool to see. I love this melody so much. It was the Parasomnia tour that I saw at PMT. I missed out on seeing the 40th anniversary tour. I mean, this was fine because I really loved hearing Parasomnia live in concert. Plus, with A Change of Seasons, I mean, that was incredible. But I am a bit sad I did miss out on hearing my favorite Dream Theater song ever, which is Octavarium. So that's a bit of a bummer. Could it be okay / possible to ask questions while you were showing this one? Oh, absolutely! You are more than welcome to ask questions about this. Like, feel free to ask whatever you guys want. This is not like just showing this to you. I am, just pause it. This is definitely sort of, I want to have engagements with my audience here. So you are more than welcome. I really appreciate if you guys ask questions because I love being able to, not give all the secrets away, but I love just being able to talk about my process into how I do this stuff. So yeah, feel free to ask how things, how I do things. Okay, I saw Anniversary and Overture Strange is so good. I really want to see Parasomnia. Yeah, that would have been cool hearing Overture and Strange Deja Vu, but I did get to hear Through My Words Fatal Tragedy, so that was epic. Sadly, didn't get to hear Home or Spirit Carries On. That would have been amazing. I love those songs, so. But, that's how it is sometimes. So, yeah. How do you choose the panning for each song, for each instrument? Panning or pairing? For me, pairing, that's kind of hard to do for me. Panning left or right. Okay. Panning. So with panning, I didn't really do a whole lot with like the panning. I kept it mainly the mix that MuseScore has. Sometimes I would mix things a bit higher in the range. Like if there's like a solo instrument, I would bring that out a bit more. Like I'd bring the solo cello out more. I'd bring some solo woodwinds, but I don't really do a lot of stuff in like the different channels. Mainly, I keep it mainly as the default panning in that MuseScore has with their samples. So that's just what I go with because there's not really much to do in terms of the sounds because it sounds good already as it is, personally. So I just kept it as it is. But thanks for asking. The epic Metropolis melody from the end of Metropolis Part 1. So once you get to that one, by the way, I love Metropolis Part 2. This will appear again in one last time. This song feels... Okay. I love bringing the melody here in the higher octave of the strings. That was really, really fun to do. Then the one last time part. I always love this part right here when it goes to the one last time melody. Strings really carrying it. Woodwinds here. A bit more percussion with this part. This is Dance of Eternity bit. The song feels like it could be an environment of Atmos or 5.1, just in case you'll need an opinion. Yeah, I do agree with that. Alright. We've come to strange deja vu here. I love the way the songs connect. That's one of my favorite parts. Is the way these songs all sort of come together. It was super cool to do. Can't get over how amazing it all sounds. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. I worked really, really hard to get this album just right. I know this album was so beloved by the Dream Theater fan base. Myself too. I mean, I'm wearing the shirt, so I love this album. It was so much, and it was my first exposure to the band, so I wanted to get this album right, and I'm glad you think that I did a great job. I gave it the justice it deserves, because it is a masterpiece. Sort of lighten up the texture here. Woodwinds and little piano. Bringing the brass back in for this part. Hey, Stout Productions. Good to see you, man. Well, look who's streaming. Yep, I'm streaming. I'm doing a stream. Good to see you, buddy. Stout here is one of my good friends. So, really good to see you here, man. Yeah, I'm doing a breakdown of the video I released yesterday, along with some Lego building. Just make it a bit of a casual stream here for all of you. Ooh, this is a good question right here. After you are done with one song, do you give yourself a time to not hear for a while, then give time to find you? But for me, with each song, like when I do the arrangement, obviously I have to hear for a while, and sometimes I never get tired of any song, so I never like take a break from listening to these tracks. But with the arrangement, yeah, sometimes when I work on it for a bit, I'm just like, it's a lot. I don't want to hear it sometimes, but the original song I'll always go back to because it's just like, yeah. Can't stay for long, so I'm about to stream once again in a bit. Hope your stream goes well, man. You do some awesome work. You do some incredible stuff. Thank you so much. I'm glad you showed up. It's good to see you here. So, yeah. Let's get back in here. This part was really fun to do. It's just groovy. I love the melody. I love. I gotta say. Thanks a ton. Got a knockout shot 46. Saying how it's going. Nice. Good to see it's going well. One thing I gotta say about this album is I love James LaBrie's voice on this. I think this album, along with Awake, has some of his best vocals ever. Like, he just gives it his all on his whole album. And he's amazing. Like, the melodies are wonderful. The way he sings them are great. I just don't want to give that energy to it. Back into this. The melodies in this album are gorgeous. That's why I love it so much. It's such a beautiful. It's such a singable album. And that's why I really, really like it. The melodies get stuck in your head. You just remember them forever. Whenever I have to run errands during the day, Awake is my go-to in the car, as well as the other cars around me. Yeah, just crank up like The Mirror or Caught in a Web. It's like that meme. It's like, whenever I listen to Dream Theater, my neighbors do too. That's how I feel. So, yeah, Awake is great. Definitely, he was at his prime. Yeah, that's when he really was at his prime. I mean, he sounds really good now. I think what he's been doing lately has been wonderful. Apparently, Caught in a Web is in my top 10. That is a great song to have in your top 10. I actually have a full ranking of every single Dream Theater song. I might put out that video at some point because I ranked like a whole bunch of songs, over 150 Dream Theater songs total, and did a full ranking of it. So I might have to put out the video at some point. So through my words here, once again with the cello, representing the solo, like the voice, like Nicholas, the character. Obviously, we'll hear this melody again and through her eyes, which is beautiful. I love how heavy and groovy it is. Yeah, Caught in a Web is really great because it's super groovy. That's what I love about Petrucci's writing. It's not just, just heavy, just... It's just, he really grooves. His riffs are so unique. I think he's an incredible riff writer. He's one of the best for sure. So, yeah, Awake it's a great album. One of my favorites in them. Okay. Then we get into Fatal Tragedy. These songs were weird to hear live because I put out the video not too long before I saw them. So, it was a bit strange hearing it. Ooh. Okay, this is a really good question. when you are starting with a song, which instrument comes first for you to get started? Great question. I love stuff like that. So for me, whenever I start with a song, I sort of imagine what the orchestration is going to sound like in my head when I hear it. I have this odd ability to imagine an orchestra playing these songs, and I know exactly which instrument is going to play it. So whenever I'm writing, whenever arranging, I just think, okay, I know cello is going to be in this melody. I know the string is going to play this. Woodwinds are going to play this. In the big moments, brass is going to come in playing the melody. I know the percussion is going to be doing this part. Low strings mainly play the riffs because they really have that edge. Percussion always gives this like adds texture and color. I'm trying to mimic Portnoy's drum parts as much as I can. So yeah, it all just starts from listening to the songs, and I just picture in my head, and I just imagine that instrument playing each part. Sometimes the first guess for instrument doesn't really go around the best. There are definitely times when I do switch instruments around. It's like I try it on, like, say I try a melody on like cello or something, it doesn't really work out, and then I try it on another instrument. So I try it on like the bassoon, and then it's like, oh, that actually works better. So that's sort of my go around. It's a whole process of trial and error. Sometimes some instruments work better than others. What are your thoughts on the arrangement of the 40th anniversary montage? Hoping you know what I'm referring to. I know you missed 40th anniversary tour movie scene video. Yes, I do want to talk about that because I really like. I want to talk about Joseph Stevenson for a second because he did a Dream Theater symphonic tribute, and it was amazing. I loved it. And apparently, I heard that he did the orchestral overture for this, at least the second act of the second set of the 40th anniversary tour, and it was incredible. Like it was amazing. Like I saw videos of that, and I was like, wow, that was so well done. And that video it did, the Dream Theater symphonic tribute, the symphonic suite or whatever, that was sort of like the inspiration for me to do this. Like he did like a whole like tribute, like a whole medley. It's like, what if I did like actual songs, like full length songs? So I definitely do want to shout out Joseph Stevenson for for being my inspiration for doing this stuff, because I think he's done some incredible work as well. He did a really good Avenged Sevenfold arrangement too. That one was really, really well done. Not as familiar with the music, but I thought it was really, really well handled. So yeah, definitely, I thought it was great. I didn't know it was him until I saw on a comment. He said a comment like, "Oh yeah, I did the overture." Have you thought about doing one yourself? Maybe have someone who's a graphics designer or whatever, and you can make your own. I bet you would kill it. I've thought about doing so in the past. For me, I'm not much of like, I've done medleys, like I play medleys and stuff. I love doing medleys of things. But for me as a Dream Theater like fan, I love doing full like songs. That's more of my thing. I love just doing the entire experience rather than just doing like bits and pieces, because their discography is so vast. I love just hearing more, just the full versions, hearing what a full version of a thing could sound like. Because with medleys, you only get like a little bit of it at a time. But with, if you're doing a full orchestration, you can get so much more from it, I feel like. So that's just me. So, in a Fatal Tragedy here. The menacing brass. Very Mars, the bringer of war from the planets I host. I added some harpsichord into this because I love writing for harpsichord. It gives it a bit of that sort of old-timey quality, but also it's a little spooky. It's got a little bit of a spooky, scary vibe to it. Mysterious. It adds to the mystery behind, because it is sort of like kind of like a murder mystery type story of like what really happened to Victoria. What is the real story behind what the article, the newspaper article said. So. A certain trumpets part of Scenes from Memory were terrifyingly beautiful. So in your face. If you know. Yeah, there was some great. I love writing for those big trumpet moments. I love writing for trumpets so much. My biggest thing is to not overuse them. You don't want to just overuse trumpets a lot. That's why I mainly give like the horns each of the melodies. Horns I think are better suited for some of the melodies. Trumpets, I always save trumpets for like either the last chorus or like the big like climax of a song. That's sort of what I save the trumpets for. This part was so much fun to do. These little call and response bits. Once again, sort of lighten up the color, lighten up the texture to add a bit of contrast, because that's my favorite part about orchestration is contrast. You have that sort of loud first verse, and then the second verse here is a bit lighter in character. And bring it back in with embracing those high vocals. And a bit of the drama. Ooh, this is a good question. How do you choose the tempo for a song? Is there a middle point or comfort zone to choose a tempo from songs that are much faster? This is a really, really good question, because I hear things and I'm wondering, would this be actually feasible for an orchestra to play someone to this speed? And so for this one, with the tempo, I stayed true to the record. I stayed true to how they play it live, how they actually play it. Because if there's one thing I don't want to do, I don't want to change it too much to the point where it's unrecognizable. If you play something too slow, it's not going to sound the same. If you play it too fast, it won't, it's not going to be the exact same all the time. So that's kind of my take on it. That's kind of how I feel. So, but that's just me. Like that's just me talking here. So, but no, yeah, that's a really, really good question. So thank you. But no, yeah, I stick true to what the record of the album is. Sometimes I use the metronome thinking, oh, it's pretty close to this. This is like an approximation of the tempo of like I don't know if they use the click or not, but the click would have been at that sort of metronome marking of like quarter equals like however many beats per minute. So that's sort of like an approximation of what it could have possibly been. So yeah, good question though, man. I'm really appreciating these questions. Keep them coming. I love answering this stuff. I love engaging with the with all of you here. So I love writing those menacing brass hits. There we are with the trumpets. Trumpets taking on that second chorus. Strings at higher octave. I love the switch in the 6/8 here. I always love when they did that. Gives a bit more punch and variety to the chorus, so it's not just the same. Yeah, then we have this sort of jam section, which is super, super cool. So yeah. May I ask your age? I can't remember if I said it before. So this is This question here, this is like an interesting question. So for me, it's like answering questions like that is just, I don't know. So I mean, there's no shame in disclosing, I guess. So I'm fine with it. So 24, turned 24 yesterday. So yeah, but no, it's good. No, it's okay, man. I'm fine with it. This part was really, really fun. I love using like the xylophone. The xylophone really cuts through the orchestral texture. Of course, this part coming back in Dance of Eternity in a really grandiose way. Then we have the shrink and grow section where each part just sort of condenses and then sort of grows back, which I think is a really, really genius move. I loved that. That's amazing that you have all this talent and accomplishment at that age. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Like, it's not really something I sort of talk about, don't really bring up as much, but it's like, I'm really glad that you think that of me. Like, there have been times when I'm, I won't say down myself, but I sort of look back and I'm thinking, like, man, I've done all this stuff. I have all these things here that I know all this, but I'm only like this young or whatever. Like, it's so cool. I mean, I'm just grateful that all of you enjoy it. That's my thing. That all of you are here to support me. I'm just one guy doing all these arrangements, and the fact that all of you are here to support me, I think is super cool. I want to thank you guys so much for that. So, after you are done with each song, what are your environments to listen to a song? Example, your car, headphones, speaker to your house, if all that. For me, I always like listening with really, really good headphones, like these AirPods, or I have some really nice, over-the-top headphones like this. They have really, really good like sound quality. So I always use that to sort of be my final, like, especially when I'm doing the final like mix. That is what I go to listen to each song whenever I have completed at least the orchestration, so I can go back and pick apart some things. Shrink and grow. Haha, that's definitely a DT thing I never heard from another band to say something like that. It's unique, definitely. Yeah, that's what Mike Portnoy calls it. He calls it the shrink and grow section. And I thought it was a really, really cool way of doing it, because that sort of be the da 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 da, because that part plays 4 times, and then 3, and then twice, then once, then it's a little unison, and then once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then to the end of the song. That's such a really cool thing. That's such a really interesting way of making a song, and I thought that was just a stroke of genius from the band that I really wanted to replicate and give it the sort of momentum as the solos go on. Because first, obviously, it's the Petrucci solo, then he passes it off to Rudis, and then I do sort of the last dual harmony at the end with my Young dropping some really cool bass lines. So, which was really cool. So that's sort of my take on it. These solos were so hard to arrange because I wanted to make them playable for orchestral musicians. Because some of the stuff that Petrucci and Rudis do is just like mind-boggling. Like, it's an absolute like mind bender. So just being able to wrap your head around that is just difficult. So I wanted it to make it seem approachable to orchestral musicians, because I imagine an orchestra playing stuff like this. So I made it I always think in that context. I was at the. I went to an orchestra yesterday. It was my birthday gift, and it was incredible. I missed. Uh, I really missed seeing an orchestra because it's been a bit. Ever since the pandemic happened, orchestras. It's been hard for me to see them because of with life and stuff. But being able to watch an orchestra perform was incredible. It was an incredible concert, and I had a great time. The Metropolis DVD of the commentary dialogue, Mike Portnoy addresses that the mention of Shrink and Grow, and since then it's a recognizable thing from DD fans. Yes, that is so cool. I like that they have different terms for what they have in their songs. I think it's super cool. And the fact that the fans recognize them, I think it's super, super sweet. The fact that fans, can sort of remember these things and they have these little nicknames to them. Is it hard when the time signature changes so much? It can be a bit tricky. I mean, I'll get into the Dance of Eternity because that is a real, mind melder with time signatures. But yeah, sometimes it is tricky when the time signature changes and you're trying to tell where the beat is. It's always hard to find where's the one, where's the downbeat, where does each beat begin? Because sometimes there's offbeats, sometimes there's polyrhythms, especially when you're doing the Mangini stuff. That's a bit tricky. I think Pale Blue Dot is going to be a very tricky one for me to do because of the odd, time signatures and polyrhythms and everything. That is such a insanely intricate song. But Dance of Eternity is definitely a difficult one in terms of time signature changes and just paying attention to the beat. But yeah, that is a really good question though. This ending part here is so much fun. I love it. Hearing this live was epic. It was super epic. Now it is time to see how you died. Remember that death is not the end, but only a transition. Doing it to be on this life. I started out quietly and then brought it up here. I didn't start off just with the riff. I sort of slowly built it up, just like a short little build up into when the drums kick in. This track was fun yet challenging to orchestrate because of how tricky the solos are. Once again, add in some xylophone and vibraphone, which really cuts through that huge brass texture. I love sort of bringing it down here. Pizzicato strings, doing the bass line. Alto flute, English horn, playing the melody. Let's see here. I love doing all the contrast here. That extra percussion here. And a bit of bits and pieces of different things. Changing things around. Like I said, contrast is important. So that is sort of my take on it. Back into that big riff. Melody again played in the higher octave in the strings. Gives it more weight, dramatic weight. course, the Our Deeds Who Have Traveled Far part, which is so much fun. Don't know anything about. At the start of a new session, you have to choose a time signature of that session with a BPM, and it changes from time to time. Is it hard to have a session stable or manageable? For me, I mean, changing time signatures and changing like tempo, it can be like a bit of a struggle having to play. Okay, now I know this part's okay. Most of this is in 5/4. There are changes from 5/4 to 6/4, so it's like, okay, no, this is when it's going to be here. This is going to be the new tempo. This is going to be the new time signature. So I'm always looking for, okay, here is the time signature here. Is going to change at this bar at this moment. Tempo is going to change here. So I'm always making notes of the song. So I have like, okay, this is where it changes. Stays the same at this bar. Changes here. Like when I'm going to Dance of Eternity, I'm just like, okay, there's a change here, change, tempo, time signature. I have to, I dissect it. It's like I'm doing like a, it's like I'm doing like a critical analysis on a song, but it's my own, like my own sort of analysis on it. So I'm really having to do like sort of like going into the nitty gritty details of each song just to sort of dissect each part. So that's sort of how I do it. Whenever I do another the next orchestration, I sort of go through it. And I guess it's sort of been like I've been hearing these songs for so many years that I sort of go with it. But every time I do it, I always have to just consult the original track. These songs, the best part about Scenes from Memory is that you can actually go and listen to the separate tracks, which is incredible. I love listening to the separate tracks, so you can really get into all the finer details of how the solos sound, of the riffs, the keyboard parts especially. So some little keyboard things I did not notice once you hear it in an album, because there's a lot of stuff that's buried in the mix. Not a lot of Jordan's stuff comes out full force, which I think it might be intentional, but adding those little bits and pieces here and there's a little like orchestrated woodwind parts and brass hits that you don't really hear on the album because it blends within with the guitars and stuff. So yeah. But yeah, good question to ask. Gabe Walker, good to see you, man. Hey man, what's up? Sorry, LOL. I will respond to your message after stream. Bit backed up. It's all good, man. No worries at all, man. I know you've been busy with stuff, but it's good to see you. How you doing? So yeah, I'm doing this stream, going over Scenes from Memory, also building some Lego as well. Just having a bit of fun here with all you guys. Like I said, this is just a casual stream. Nothing really that, nothing really too serious. Just love to answer questions and chat with all of you. Alto flute here giving this melody. Alto flute's such an underrated instrument. It has such a unique texture and sound. I use it a lot in home as well, which is really, really fun. They have the celesta here doing those little parts. It's kind of like a music box type sound. That's kind of what I was going for. Sick, man. A message after about what time's going such. Enjoy the stream, man. I'll message about an hour. Thanks so much, man. Can't wait to hopefully talk to you sometime. Of course, there's a tempo change here when it gets a bit faster. This part's here. Like this part really grooves. There's so much groove, and Dream Theater has there's a common criticism among Dream Theater detractors is that they just write technical stuff and they just noodle all the time. There's no real depth and emotion to feel. There's no groove. I heavily disagree with that. There is so much life and feeling and emotion and passion in their music that I feel like not a lot of people really get. I think maybe it might, I don't know why. I mean, I could sort of understand. Maybe I think they do go overboard at times. I mean, there are times when I feel like they can, they don't always rein it in Like there's one part in Lost Not Forgotten that's just oddly just proggy for the sake of being proggy, and it's just ridiculous. It's so strange as to why that part's there. If you know that song, you know what part I'm talking about. But it's like they have their moments where they could just sort of do things stripped back and just focus on the melody. And I think the best example of that is in their ballads. That's why I love their ballads so much, because they're not really focused on, prog craziness. They're focused about developing an atmosphere and writing just gorgeous melodies. And I love that so much. That's why I love their epics too, because they really take the time, no pun intended, to really make the songs feel grand and feel like a real statement. And so for me, that's the one criticism that, I mean, I can understand to a certain extent, but I do disagree with being, they're just, they don't really have like real emotion or soul behind it. Now with the whole like AI imagery thing, I don't know how to feel about that. So giving the trombones a bit of the melody too, giving them their moment to shine. This part here was really fun to do. It really feels chaotic and just wacky. That's the best way to describe this song, is wacky in the best way. And those trumpets back in again, those epic trumpets. My biggest issue with the Mangini era, they made things more technical than necessary. Maybe I'm ignorant because I kind of tuned out during that time. I love dramatic turn of events, but I understand what you mean about Lost Not Forgotten. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it too. There are some things I really do like about the Mangini era. Actually, I think the Mangini era is actually pretty underrated. I'm a fanboy. Call me a fanboy once. Call me like I glaze it, but like I enjoy older albums. I think they're all so wonderful and enjoyable. But I do understand what you mean about, there being just too much prog craziness. There have been some songs where I feel like they just do it for the sake of being proggy. Like there's some stuff with the self-titled, I'm just like, okay, just sort of rein it back. Some of Jordan's solos are a bit like too much. Like that one solo in A Rite of Passage. I know it's technically Portnoy era, but still, my point still stands. That weird sort of solo that does in A Rite of Passage, where it's just like weird noises and beeps and boops or whatever, is just so strange, and it's out of place too. So I can sort of understand that. But I think that's why I like, I might get some heat for this. I don't really care. That's why I like The Astonishing a lot, because it focused less on the prog technicality and more on the songwriting. While it is a long album and maybe a pretty, admittedly a very cheesy storyline, the songwriting itself I thought was really, really ambitious and beautiful. There's some gorgeous melodies in that record. So, this is good. To quote Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park, "You were so focused on if you could, you didn't stop to think if you should." Yes, that is great. That is a good one there. Yes, that is a great quote. So bringing this melody back here. Which is cool. Doing it differently. Changing up the orchestration just a bit, adding a little bit more, a few extra things. Then to major, having like the cellos and clarinet play this part. Upper woodwinds respond with the what we have been is what we are. I love this part. This part is always so calm. It's such a nice relief from the insanity of prior. It sort of like comes back down again. I love them to climb up. I added that as well. Ba, 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 ba. How do you feel about Systematic Chaos overall? Systematic Chaos for me, I feel like it's kind of underrated. So again, to that, I feel like the last two Portnoy albums, I feel like that's where people started checking out of the band. That was when I feel like there was that time I was looking through old things like that, and people said, "Oh, this is when Dream Theater are running out of ideas," and I'm like, if this is how Dream Theater sounds like when they're running out of ideas, then I don't know, like then man, because I think there's some really great stuff on Systematic Chaos and Black Clouds and Silver Linings. Yeah, I love Systematic Chaos a lot. I think that album's really underappreciated. There's so much great stuff in there. I mean, Repentance appears on the album. Ooh, good call. I feel like that song gets sort of I feel like the song gets a bit too much flack for being like for being slow and just a bit of a slog, but I really enjoy it. It's very atmospheric and calm. It's like Opeth did a song for them. Yeah, it is. I definitely like. I started listening to some other bands after Dream Theater, and Opeth was one of them that I started listening to, and it definitely does sound like something off of Damnation. I know that Mikhail Ackerfeld is featured on that song in that sort of spoken word, like apology section. 12 Steps. I know he's featured on it. He was supposed to be featured in A Nightmare to Remember, doing the day after day and night after night part. I mean, that's the one criticism of the song. It's like those weird Portnoy vocals. Having him on it would have been like really epic and very very unique. I think it was Petrucci who said that might have been too extreme. The 5.1 mix of Repentance, it's definitely a great song to listen on surround. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. That's a great song. Like, I love the end of the song with those sort of like high, like choral vocals, those sort of notes. Like, I love it at the end because it's like you get to hear like Mayung has like the most distorted, gritty bass tone at the end of that song. You really hear it. Like, it just comes through. Systematic Chaos, you really hear Mayung a lot. I think that's really, really nice. The Ministry of Lost Souls is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite songs of that album. It's one of my favorite Dream Theater songs. It's great. They should have had a subtle Michael Averick growl in the back of Portnoy's falsetto. Yeah, that would have been really, really cool. I know we did it live once. There's like live footage of Ackerfeld singing it with doing that part with the band, which was epic. Back to this keyboard solo here. This part is super groovy. These riffs here are just like I'm gonna vibe along with. Really wanted to capture that really cool groove. And like the harp glissandos give it sort of floaty, ghostly texture, that wonder sound. And then we have like a sort of like violin solo. We have a mini little concerto here where the violin sort of gets center stage. Now this is not a real, I would have used real violin here, but I was like, didn't really have anyone. So I used just a sample. The best sample I had. So I hope this really worked out. Really tried to do my best to make it sound convincing. But you know, I have limited access to tools and stuff. Oh, we're convinced. Good. I'm glad you think that was convincing. Speaking of trumpets, I had to do this part with the trumpets. I also had a piano here too. This part is just nuts. Serves right, that violin for the whole piece. Yeah. This is awesome. This sort of wacky, weird unison, very like cartoony, that I love too. And of course, this whole riff being played in full by the orchestra was so much fun to like actually hear. Those epic runs are really, really hard to arrange and get right. Out of context, this part, it's crazy gibberish. When I first listened to a song, yeah, I was so confused by it. I was like, wait, what? Really have to listen to it several times to sort of get into it. Then bringing back the melody here, a full horn section playing this melody. Adding the strings in too. Now here's a really, really cool Easter egg I had. Under the melody, see if you can catch what the horns are playing right here. So, I don't know if you caught that, but it actually hid. So the horns actually play a bit of the melody from Spirit Carries On back there. So here, right here. That surrounds me, free of the fear and the pain. So here, right there, the safe in the light that surrounds me. Because I thought, wait, would that actually work? And I put it in there. It's like, wait, that melody works with that chord progression. I'm like, I'm gonna put that in there. So I'm like, I thought it would be really cool, a nice bit of a counterpoint, counter melody to throw it in. There's like, wait, what if I put Spirit Carries On, that regression melody in there? So I'm like, you know what? Put that right there. So I thought, you know, I don't want to do things to do that are just clever for the sake of being clever. I just sometimes come up with ideas like, you know, what if? And I hear it and I'm like, wait, that works. So that's a bit of like, that's a little trick that I used in that section. I thought that would have been fun to add to that part. So yeah. It's like I was so occupied thinking that, you know, we didn't stop to think we should, but no, I was thinking, should I? Like, could I do this? And I was like, should I do this? Yes. So that actually worked out very, very well. I feel like it added another layer to the orchestration. That, of course, we transition into Through Her Eyes. So this is where we add in like the vocals. This is a good like I used like sort of a melodic soprano, angelic soprano, that's what it's called, sample. This is where I first really started using vocals. I used them like little background vocals in the end solo of Bend the Clock, but this is where I really started to use like actual chorus, like fully in a orchestration. This is where I really feel like it's prominent. So this is when I started really calling them like symphonic arrangements rather than orchestral arrangements. So that's how it really started for me, was with Through Her Eyes. So it's a bit of a special one in terms of these videos. Of course, bringing in the piano here. This song is just, it is just, wow. It's heartbreakingly beautiful. Have you ever cried with either of the songs? I do it all the time in music, just curious. Okay, I guess I have to bring this up because this might sound odd. I don't know. This has always been a me thing, but I have rarely, I mean, not to bring too much about me, but I've rarely cried when like witnessing media or listening to music. Like, but I feel, like, I definitely feel it. Like, I have this weird feeling inside of me where it's like, I don't see it on my face. Like, you don't see it. Like, I'm like stone faced. But when I listen to a song, I have these odd emotions and I have to just sort of sit back and just be like, take a breather. But you don't see me like really emotionally invested. Like, I'm not crying or anything. No tears or anything like that. But it's just, I really do feel it. Like, it's like a really heavy, like weighty feeling when I hear something like this. So it's like, you got to close my eyes and be in stillness. So that's kind of how I feel like when I watch media or when I, listen to music. I don't show it, but I feel it. So that's a me thing. I mean, I'm not really sure if anyone else is like that, but that's just, that's just how I am. Once again, bringing the cello back for this melody. I've definitely cried. I was a mess when I did Spirit at 40th anniversary. James has fought for bringing up lost loved ones. Oh yeah, I mean, if you've lost someone, that song is definitely gonna hit hard for a lot of people. I remember when I watched the video of them playing that song when Mike Portnoy's sister passed. That was, wow. Then Petrucci, at the end, playing that final solo, sitting right beside Portnoy. That was such a just beautiful, touching moment. It must have been really, really powerful for them. Bringing in that violin solo to represent the guitar. Clarinet here. I love using clarinet to write, for beautiful melodies like this. I was really pleased with the sample that I used. Oh yeah, that and Best of Times at Radio City. Oh yeah, that's probably going to be the only time they ever play that song live. Like, seriously. I don't think they'll ever play it again. But I'm glad they were able to do it. All that's left is for them to play the 12-step suite. That's all they got to do is just play the whole 12-step suite with the band, with Dream Theater. I know that Portnoy did it with Haken, but they got to do it with, he's got to do it with DT. It's got to happen. Bringing in the rest of the orchestra, I used no need for brass with this song because it didn't really need it. There's a few songs from DT, especially Octavarium, but most of the time Steven Wilson music, Sesame to That Weeping State. Oh yeah, I can imagine that being... I'm not as familiar with, listening to Steven Wilson stuff or like Porcupine Tree. I gotta get into them more. I've heard they're like really, really good. So, gotta confess to that. But yeah, I've heard that Porcupine Tree is amazing. And Steven Wilson's great. So I'll definitely have to check more of that out. But yeah. So bringing the song out, adding in that female vocal again. Really want you to sit with like the emotions of what's going on with the song, story wise, with anyone else, anyone else feels with it. So wanted you to leave it at this sort of state. And of course, unlike the album version, it doesn't fade out. It sort of ended on that chord, sort of calm, soothing note as we end Act 1. So that's Act 1, my orchestration of Act 1 of Scenes from memory. So, yeah. So that is going to do it for this stream. I wanted to split it up into 2 parts so I can really focus on doing each act of the album, doing it in more detail, because next it's going to be Home and then the Dance of Eternity. So I'm splitting it up into 2 parts just for this stream. I'll probably do another stream. I don't know if next week, because obviously next week is the week of Thanksgiving, but maybe the week after, whenever I have time, because I love talking with you guys. I love being able to talk about things, these orchestrations with all of you, and tell a bit more, about the things I really enjoy and what I love. Appreciate you hanging out and answering questions. Oh yeah, I love doing this. Nothing better for me. I love being able to talk with all of you. You're all amazing. If you need a starting point in Porcupine Tree, Fear of a Blank Planet, and with the Stephen Wilson solo stuff, Hand Cannot Erase, especially routine. Thanks for the suggestions, man. Really, really appreciate it. Glad you guys are really opening my horizons to some incredible music. The world of prog is so diverse. There's just so much to it. So there's a whole lot for me to discover. Yes, best of times this session. I gotta do the best of times at some point. One thing that I do want to bring up with this stream, and I'm going to bring it in the next stream as well, for those of you here, I know not a lot of you were here at this stream, so if anyone is going to be here the next stream, I will bring this up again. One thing I am going to bring up here. So, Scenes from Memory, with these arrangements, this will be the last Dream Theater orchestration that I will do for this year. In 2026, I will be back working on Dream Theater orchestrations again. Just I've been spending so many months doing these orchestrations, and I love doing it for you guys, and I just enjoy doing it myself. But I've been doing it so much, and I really want to take some time. And I've been working on a ton of other projects, original music that I want to put out for all of you that I hope you will enjoy. Yes, 6 degrees. I want to do that too, but I have a lot of other plans as well. I have really great Dream Theater plans. So yeah. So yes, just letting you know for the future, for December, there won't be Dream Theater orchestrations. I will probably, like I said, I'll be putting out original music too, because that's what I really want to focus on. I've been doing these orchestrations for so long, but I want to put out a lot of my own music as well, because I love writing original music too. So hopefully you guys will all love that. And starting next year, I will be back with more Dream Theater orchestrations. So I'm just taking a bit of a break from this, just for now. Very short break. well, short as it can be, months long break, but I will be back doing Dream Theater orchestrations again. So have no fear, the majesty will return. So yeah, I want to thank you all for coming. I know this is sort of like a spur of the moment stream, but I thought it would I think it would be nice to do that. How about a Christmas tease for us? A new song short from you? Uh Don't know what to say about that. Just wait and see what I have in store for all you guys. I think you're really gonna love it. I have a lot of really cool surprises for you guys. So yeah, thank you all for coming. Like I said, I know I wasn't really prepared for this, but I'm glad that you all were here. For those of you who were here, I'm glad you showed up. It was really fun to do this. I love doing this stream with you guys. So I really appreciate the support for all of you. My 2 viewers. So yes, thank you all for coming. I can't wait to see you again. I'll do another stream going over Act 2 of Scenes, and I will see you guys again. So take care, be safe, and I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're all safe, with your families, with your loved ones, with your friends. Just enjoy the day, just enjoy that time you have, be thankful. Be thankful for, what you have in your life, really. And I'm thankful for the support you guys have given me for this channel, with how much it's grown. I wasn't really expecting this. So I thank you all so much I'm super thankful for all of you for supporting me. Like I said, I'm just this small guy, this young guy wanting to share my love of music, my love of Dream Theater with the world. And you guys are really, enjoying it. And that really means a lot to me. So I really, from the bottom of my heart, I'm super thankful for all of you. And so for Thanksgiving, that's what's important. So glad you guys have come. Hope to see you guys again in another stream. And as always, take care. Carpe diem. You're all the best.